أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا فمن جاءه موعظة من ربه فانتهى فله ما سلف وأمره إلى الله ومن عاد فأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون
صدق الله العظيم.
There I will introduce about meanings of mu'amalat. Mu'amalat is Arabic word which means dealings. Literally it means transaction, while technically it means any form of mutual dealing held between people who do a transaction for their needs, such as in trading and commerce. Basically, mu'amalat is seen as economic activities.
Islam regulates various aspects of the life of its people without exception, the buying and selling process. In Islam, there are pillars of buying and selling which are used as guidelines for transactions, especially in the concept of trading in goods. Like the video that was shown a while ago, basically, buying and selling according to the Islamic perspective is a transaction in which there are two elements named consent and qabul. There are four pillars of buying and selling in Islam, namely there is a seller, there is a buyer, there is goods, and finally there is siga or ijab qabul. According to the Hanafi school, the pillars and conditions for the validity of buying and selling are only limited to consent and acceptance. Therefore, the pillars of buying and selling are only the willingness of the two parties to buy and sell. However, if you consider the explanation from the scholars more broadly, then what are the pillars of buying and selling? There are four pillars of buying and selling, including contracted person, seller, and buyer. Let's make it clear. The point here is that the pillars of buying and selling will not occur without the presence of a seller and a buyer. The seller is the party that offers the merchandise, while the buyer is the party that needs the item to be utilized properly. Number 2, siga. As for siga, namely consent and qabul, as the seller said, I sell it to you or I leave it to you. And the words of the buyer, I accept or I'll buy. The handover was not valid as it could be in the community because there was no siga, consent and qabul. Ibn Shurayrah said, handover is legal regarding trivial merchandise, worthless, and is usually done by people. Number 3, there are item purchase. The next pillar of buying and selling in Islam is that there must be makud alaih, goods purchased. Not only must there be goods, but also in Islam it stipulates that the goods being traded must have benefits. The goal is that those who buy it do not feel disadvantaged. The meaning of this benefit, of course, is relative because basically every item has benefits. Therefore, to measure the criteria of this expediency, should use the criteria of religion. Last but not least, number 4, there is an exchange rate for goods replacement, referring to the definition put forward by the Hanafiya scholars. The pillars of buying and selling are exchanging assets for assets in a certain way, or exchanging something you want for something that is worth it in some useful way, so that the exchange rate for the replacement of the goods must be appropriate and acceptable to both parties, namely the seller and the buyer.
Law of sale and purchase. Islam has required buying and selling as long as it is not misleading or does not have elements of fraud or other negative things that are prohibited by Islam. The words of Allah SWT in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 275, A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim, wa ahallallahu bai'a wa harrama riba. The interpretation, even though Allah SWT has legalized buying and selling, doing business and prohibited usury, but the original law of buying and selling, which must be changed according to certain circumstances. Firstly, there is buying and selling between the seller and the buyer of a necessary item, such as selling the buyer's daily necessities. 2. Buying and selling that is done after the first call to prayer for Friday prayers for people who are obligated to pray Friday prayers on it. Thirdly, buying and selling that is done after the call to prayer of the second Friday prayers for people who are obligated to pray Friday on it. Lastly, buying and selling things that are and forbidden in Islamic law, such as alcohol, carcasses, animal excrement, and so on.
In addiction, buying and selling can be invalid according to Islam. Why? Number 1, no agreement between buyer and seller can cause the sale to be invalid because Islam avoids force in buying and selling and all aspects in our life. Even to convert in Islam or do a good thing, Islam never force someone to do something. Number 2, seller and buyer not a mukallaf person, so that the process of buying and selling not go smoothly and will become unmanageable because it is not the right person to manage it. Number 3, selling goods stored for immoral purpose such as alcohol, drugs, and pork because they all lead to bad things in human and our environment. Like we know, many accidents happen because of many people buy alcohol and lost control while driving. Because of it, Islam not allow it. And number 4, selling goods that are not owned when buying and selling, such as selling birds in the air or fish in the sea. This matter need to be understood by the seller to always ensure that the goods to be sold are owned. And number 5, selling goods that do not belong to him. This thing should be avoided by the seller because it might hurt someone and cause buying and selling be invalid. Okay, so now I want to share about is it true buying and selling can help develop Islamic civilization? Of course, is it true? Because from buying and selling, we can improve or raise a national economy, like producing local products like produce, cotton, and others. All of that help foreign country attracted and trust to invest in our country. So we can continue to develop our country in this way with a good condition. Number 2, buying and selling also increase the standard of living the community. As an example, give a many opportunity jobs like selling in the store or online like Lazada, Shopee, and others. It's not only generate income but also can open mind people to
more creative in developing themselves to reduce poverty, which will also help the progress of the country's civilization.
Last but not least, in perspective, Islamic civilization, buying and selling also cause a person to become a civilized person. For example, those who do buying and selling will pay a zakat to help people in need. So this coincides with the definition of civilization, which civilization means the state of human life in society that has reached the level of refinement of moral and noble culture for its community.
Benefit of Mu'amalat. Mu'amalat in Islam aims to avoid any oppression for other people. Islam prevents its people from doing bad things that will cause trouble for the oppressed. In addition, agreeing in an Islamic way produces human beings with noble character in carrying out a mandate. In the meantime, it can be easier for the people to feel the blessing in the right way. If there is no rule of thumb, people will do anything to acquire a lot of property. They will also use property according to their desires without thinking about the interests of others. Last but not least, can encourage people to work hard to improve the economic status of the family, society and country, and can produce a society that cooperate with each other and help each other in doing good deeds and mutual welfare.
Alright, in conclusion, selling and buying nowadays has increased more and more due to development in their field. The civilization achieved by our country has a positive impact on buying and selling, such as export and import activities. And besides that, the values of Islamic civilization that are practiced in our country also contribute to the progress of the country in the right way without oppressing any party. Thank you.